This is the Liverpool FC Journal. I'm Owen James. This is your Liverpool news update, guys. We're going to talk contract talks, but no, we're not going to talk who you think we're probably going to talk when you hear the word contract talks. Yeah, I know what you think. The moment you hear the word contract talks, Liverpool FC, you suddenly think Ibou Konate. But no, we're not going to talk Ibou Konate. We're going to talk Mr. Andy Robertson, a player I absolutely love. Robbo, a guy who has been a phenomenal servant for this club. He has just been brilliant, and I think at one point probably one of the best left backs in world football, captain of his country, will be obviously heading to the World Cup with Scotland this summer. Robbo has been an amazing servant for this club, an absolutely fantastic servant for this club. He is out of contract in the summer. That is one thing that is an absolute fact, and decisions will need to be made about his future. There has been speculation on Andy Robertson's future as to where he may end up. Once obviously if he decides that he's going to move on from Liverpool. This is a guy who's made 362 appearances for the club, scoring 12 goals in that time. You look at the list of honours that this man has, having played for Liverpool. Premier League winner twice, FA Cup winner once, EFL Cup winner twice, Community Shield winner, Champions League winner, two-time Champions League runner-up, UEFA Super Cup winner, FIFA World Club Cup winner. I mean, just outstanding achievements during his time at the club. Now, his contract is up and decisions need to be made. Now, there was a story going round towards the end of last year saying that Celtic were interested in taking Andy Robertson to Scotland. Look, Andy, you're better than Celtic, mate. You genuinely are better than going to that god-awful club in Scotland. You really are. That would be a major move down, Andy. Don't do it. Don't go to Celtic. They are a disgrace of a football club. He was linked with Atletico Madrid last season. He turned that down, according to reports, to stay at Liverpool. Obviously, Milos Kerkez came into the club last summer, and at times, Andy's outperformed Milos this year. And I think Andy Robertson, obviously, who came in for quite a lot of criticism last season, which I thought was a lot of very unfair. A lot of it, I think, down to the fact that he hadn't had that full pre-season, so perhaps wasn't, 100% fit. He looks a lot fitter, stronger this year, and has certainly done well whenever he has been called upon. Now, Andy's uncertain as to where his future may lie. Contract talks have begun between Andy and the club. However, Andy Robertson has said that he's not sure whether he is going to stay because of the fact that he wants to be guaranteed to play. He wants to continue to play even at 32. He wants to continue to have playing time. Personally, I think if we can do some sort of deal around a 2-year deal for Andy and persuade him that he will get playing time and we can keep him at the club somehow, I think it would be a fantastic move because you look at it, and we'll look at what Andy's got to say on it in a minute. You look at it and you kind of look at Milos Kerkez. Kerkez is definitely a talent, but, he's still very raw. He still needs a lot of work. And I think having Andy Robertson there, will, number one, bring leadership overall to the squad. Number two, I think will give someone who can mentor Kerkez. Number three, gives you two very good left backs. And number four, if we were to allow Robertson to leave, it means it's another position we've got to strengthen, another player we've got to find. And then you've got a position where, if you sign someone, are they really going to want to come in and be a backup to somebody? Well, probably not. So, that is kind of like the issue. So you keep trying to keep hold of Robbo, I think, is very important. Now, this is what Robbo had to say when he was asked about it. He said, I've given absolutely everything for the club for the last 8.5 years, and the club have been very good to me. They've rewarded me with good contracts when I have been playing well. Nobody can deny what I have given to this club. And I think he's true. Nobody can deny his commitment to Liverpool, what he's done for this club, the fact that he's played at times when he's been hurt. He's always put it out there for Liverpool. He's never, ever, gone missing or given up or down tools. And he's always someone who has always spoken the truth. Even when things haven't been going well, he said that, and he's been very honest. I've given everything day in, day out and put in some performances which I think have been good. I think it's been a lot, Andy, and I hope others agree. I've won a lot of trophies and a lot of good days here. So it's not quite like what the club needs to show in the next 4 months. So look, Andy, for me, Robbo is someone who, like I said, is a big part of this club. And look, yeah, there has obviously been a slight drop off. There will be. He's 32 years old. He's not getting any younger, but he still looks solid defensively. He still looks, able to get forward. He still can put in a decent ball. Him at one point, I think him and Trent were having a who can give the most assists competition, weren't they? So, he is a top player, and I think, if Liverpool can do anything to try and keep him at the club in terms of a good contract and saying that, you are going to get time, Andy, you are going to get playing time, then that's got to be a positive, and it's got to be something we look at moving forward. Andy went on to say this. He says, I'm a player who wants to play. I've played through injuries. I've played when I'm not 100% fit. I've played when I've only been 50, 40, 30% fit for this club and my country. I always want to be on the grass and playing, and obviously now that's not happening. So that's what is different. And look, I think, Andy sees that. Last year when Costas was here and over the last few years, Andy's always been first choice, but Arne Slot seems to, favour Milos Kerkez over him. And I get that. There was a lot of money spent on Milos Kerkez. Kerkez is certainly the player for the future. But I do have a different role here this season, which I'm getting enjoyment out of. But at the end of the day, footballers want to play. And if anyone is sat happy on the bench, then they don't belong at any football club. I think that's a great attitude, personally. If you're happy to just sit in the stands or sit on the bench and take home your wages, then you've got to kind of question your commitment to that football club and whether you actually want to play football for that club. And I think Andy's right on that. That's always my argument. You should always want to push to be in teams. If you're happy to be at Liverpool or Barnsley, wanting to sit on the bench, then I don't think you have the right attitude. I've played well in games. I've played this season. So this to me is a little bit mixed. I think there's a little bit of anger in there, certainly. I've played well in games. I've played this season. And he's right. He has played well in games. He's played this season. And I think probably out of the two left backs, he's probably been the better left back for me this season. And I get where he's coming from. I totally get where Andy's coming from. He wants to play first team football. He wants to play on a regular basis. And he's obviously not getting that at this moment in time at Liverpool, which I can see and I can understand his frustration at that. I think if he was to be made to feel that, look, Andy, you're in a fair competition here. When you've got the shirt, if you play well, you'll continue to play. If you have a bad game, you'll get dropped. As football should be. That's as football should be. Then, maybe a deal is there to be done. But, the more I read of his comments and the more I hear from Andy, the more I do worry that this is the end for Andy Robertson, that he will move on at the end of this season because of the fact that he is not getting that commitment to play all the time. It is a worry. It is a concern. I really hope there's a deal to be done there. I hope they can persuade Andy to stay. But like I said, it seems to be very much up in the air. Guys, I'd love to know your thoughts on this one. What do you think? Would you give Andy Robertson a new contract? Do you think that Liverpool can persuade Andy Robertson to remain at the club? Thank you for watching the LFC Journal, guys. If you've enjoyed the content, please, of course, like, comment, share and subscribe to the channel. Help us to keep on growing as we aim to hit that 1,000 subs sooner rather than later. We are a hell of a long way away. I do know there's a hell of a lot of work still to do with the channel, but please, obviously, back the channel, help us to grow. We bring you free daily content. We don't charge you. And, look, I've always said that it's about bringing you and building a fan community here where you can feel part of that community and you can interact with me and with others as part of the channel. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.